The repercussions of Fiona's move against Rachel has some damaging effects, while the mission gives some faithfuls a surprising power. I wanted to address something that came up in my video about episode 5 and give you a little insight into how I approach my videos. There was a section where I questioned why Rachel was going around telling everyone about Amanda's job, while Amanda had said in her confessional that she was providing Rachel with the information to help if she wasn't there the next day. We never actually saw Amanda give that permission to Rachel. Amanda thought she was going to be murdered, but instead was banished, and she never chose to divulge it to everyone on her way out. She truly meant it when she said she wasn't going to tell anyone else in the game. When I come to doing these videos, outside of the traitors being given secret missions, I try to approach the confessionals differently to what's supposedly happening in real time. In general, the timeline of confessional filming is unknown. It could be at any point of the day, sometimes later in the week. There was one edition where they had someone doing a confessional talking about one day, then in another episode you see them talking and wearing the same clothes as the previous. Some other reality shows film the confessional weeks or months later. Add to the fact we can all be unreliable witnesses. We've already seen that Amanda could possibly be an unreliable witness in regards to what Sam had said that day. I just wanted to explain where I was coming from with this particular topic. I welcome your comments because sometimes I do forget or miss things. Back to this episode, and I couldn't help thinking, what on earth were we in for with the frosty confrontation Fiona and Rachel were going to have in the turret? How awkward for Stephen to be in the midst of what was about to happen. What was very clear to me and probably everyone was that the traitors are now a fractured team, if they even considered themselves a team. There was no coming back from this. Fiona had thrown the grenade on the game and battle lines were drawn. It was Fiona versus Rachel, but just because they were going for each other didn't automatically mean the faithfuls would get on board. Amongst all the awkwardness and tension, they still needed to murder a faithful. Reese was put out of his misery and murdered. Rachel deemed it a mercy killing. With him up for subsequent banishments and murders, Reese had been through a roller coaster of emotions. After everyone found out about Reese, there were a lot of faithfuls rethinking their thoughts on who the traitors are. No surprise that the drama of the previous night was one of the topics of conversation. The players were split into 3 teams. Each group were to take a separate path through the woods. They would encounter mirrors where there would be questions about the players left in the game. The answer would be based on the questionnaire they filled out the previous night. £500 would be added for each correct answer, and there was a maximum of £6,000 to be won. The team that got the most correct answers would get access to the walled garden where 3 people could win the opportunity to talk to the traitors. I really like that this season more missions have come with additional incentives, and this could turn out to be one of the biggest. There was a tie for the most correct answers, so it came down to which team answered the fastest. Faraz, Harriet, Matthew, Rachel and Roxy were the winning team. At the walled garden there were 5 mirrors and Claudia. One at a time they would need to choose a mirror and smash it. If smoke came out, then they won the power to talk to the traitors. Harriet, Matthew and Rachel ended up winning the power. In the evening they would individually go to the confessional in the church, and there they would be able to ask the traitors 2 questions. As the winning team were discussing things when they got back to the castle, I had a couple of questions. How will the traitors answer? Will they end up disguising their voices or find a non-verbal way of answering? What questions were Harriet and Matthew going to ask? What lie would Rachel say in regards to the questions and answers from the traitors on her turn? In general, I found Harriet's plan very interesting. She's keeping her cards very close to her chest and a traitor not far behind. When Fiona was setting off grenades and trying to hint to Harriet that she thinks Rachel is a traitor, I wondered how Harriet was taking that on board. Did Harriet see that as a genuine suspicion, or did she think Fiona was trying to manipulate her? In the Fiona versus Rachel battle, I firmly believed they could present the following on each other. On Fiona, we have the outburst from the previous night and pretending she's not as clued on as others. The bigger one was that she was in the library when Ben made his final declaration about Ross. On Rachel, you could argue what Fiona believed, which is that Amanda never told Rachel about her job, and Rachel's continual voting for Ross, who turned out to be a faithful. Stephen had an opportunity to use this battle to save himself because Fiona's banishment would mean the theory that's been held against him can probably walk out the door with her. You could question why no one, mainly Jesse, was looking beyond Stephen being in that room. I think it was great for Stephen that he had the conversation with Jesse prior to the round table, because it got her thinking beyond Stephen. Whether that later played a part in Jesse's vote, I don't know, but I think it did. I wasn't sure if it was going to be one of the traitors, Ellie, Jade or Sam being banished. Some faithfuls were taking Amanda's suspicions as gospel due to Rachel's reveal of information. The redirection plan looks like it was working. It also evidently showed that Rachel has a good command of the group and that they were willing to believe what she told them. Rachel could have been lying and they believed her. Despite how it all started and what went on through the day, I was expecting a bit more from Fiona in how she challenged Rachel. So when it came to voting, Fiona completely shocked me and Rachel by voting for Sam. In the end, it wasn't really a contest as Rachel didn't receive a single vote, and luckily neither did Stephen, as Jesse voted for Fiona. Stephen did take the gift laid in front of him and voted for Fiona. Jade was in a peculiar situation given that Amanda was so suspicious of her, but despite this, Jade only received one vote. Out of the two that Amanda suspected, it was Sam that got more votes, with 4. With 9 votes, Fiona was banished. Fiona blew up her whole game in a self-inflicting move that was a much more grand way than Hugo's stumble. This didn't need to happen because Fiona wasn't a name people brought up. She was totally on the lower scale of suspicion until the previous night. Fiona brought unnecessary attention to herself and paid the consequence. That might have also breathed new life into Stephen's game. Jesse, who was the biggest driver of that theory, was right that someone in the library was a traitor. I mean, she's also right about Stephen, but she doesn't know that yet. Jesse followed through with that theory and wanted an answer to that angle more than Ellie did. There was no avenging her boyfriend's banishment, as Ellie had voted for Sam. With the 3 winning the power to talk to the traitors, the faithfuls were spared from having to worry about murder. While we didn't get shown Harriet's turn with the traitors, I have to say Matthew shocked me with what he ended up doing. His first question was, who are you going to kill and why? They answered Jessie because she's under the radar. That sounded like 2 questions, so did chaining it with an and make it count as 1. Matthew wanted them to turn down the next time Claudia offers them a chance to seduce and murder Jesse instead. Then at the next opportunity, seduce Matthew. He asked if they had a deal. What a question and what a move by Matthew. It didn't even cross my mind that someone would do something like this. What a way to leave us hanging until the next episode. I don't think they should seduce him when the opportunity comes up. Matthew has no leverage here. Instead, they should get rid of him next instead of Jesse. What do you think? Should the traitors go along with Matthew's plan?